Good morning, world changers. It's day 17 of the 100 days of self-discovery. So as you'll know by now, every day I pose a thought-provoking question for you to reflect on. I share my own reflections and I invite you to do the same. So you can share them here in the comments below, in written form, or you can take a photograph of your journal entry, or you can post a video like this. So we also have the Change Your World personal development group, which is private and closed. So if you feel more comfortable sharing in there, you're more than welcome to join. It's completely free to join and full of like-minded, encouraging people that are all working on themselves. And the idea of this challenge is very much to get you to get to know yourself better so that you can start making the steps to create the life that you really want to live and work out what it might be that's holding you back. So this is what leads me on nicely to today's question. So today's question is, what limiting beliefs are you holding on to? So the limiting belief, I'm going to talk about one that plagued me for a number of years. So I used to believe that I wasn't smart, I wasn't clever, I wasn't intelligent as other people, and this was born out of, well, two things it came from. So it came from, I touched on this the other day, I think it was on Sunday, about how when I moved to Scotland, it had a whole spiralling negative downward effect on me, and I started this belief of not feeling significant. And that went into my schooling because I really struggled. I was 14 when I moved to Scotland, so it was a really difficult age. I had great relationships with all my teachers back in Yorkshire. And then I just became this completely unknown in this massive school of 1,000. I'd gone to this tiny school. So I became, again, more insignificant with the teachers. My schooling started to fail. I started struggling. Wasn't getting the sort of support and attention I needed. So, I wasn't learning as well as I could. But however, I went on to go to college, and I was studying communications at Aberdeen College, and I went to the BBC to apply for a week's work experience. Now, I had various tasks I had to do critiques and what have you, but I also had to have this interview for 1 week's work experience, and it was with a very senior member of management, which, looking back, it only just dawned on me today. I thought that's really odd that I had this interview with him. However, in the interview, he said to me, "What would you say if I told you that nobody gets into the BBC without a university degree?" Now, I already, at the age of 24, had quite a hang-up that I hadn't gone to university because all my friends had gone to university, and I felt, again, it just compounded that issue that I didn't feel smart or intelligent. And I remember reacting, really being triggered by this question, and I reacted and said, I think that's very sad because I think you're missing out on a whole wealth of talent if that's the belief of the BBC. And of course, I felt myself, like the tone that I came out with, it was quite sort of narky and triggered and aggressive. And I thought, oh God, I've totally blown this. However, I did get my opportunity for work experience, and that eventually led on to an 18-year career in the BBC. However, I carried that belief into the BBC for several years, and because everybody around me had been to uni, and they always constantly asked me, "Oh, what did you study at uni?" And I always had to say I didn't go to uni. I should have lied or whatever, I don't know, but I didn't, so it just kept compounding it. However, what the BBC did for me, it forced me out of my comfort zone, because my job as a radio producer was that I had to phone people up, complete strangers. I had to build a relationship with them, but I also had to get to know their topic. And, as a radio producer, you come up with lots of different ideas, and then, you find the people to talk about them on your radio show. But I would have to take briefing notes that I could type up for my presenter, so that then they would know what they're talking about and they would look smart and clever on the radio. So this really forced me. I mean, honest to God, some of the subjects that I had to cover, I'd be like, I have no idea where to start with this. I have not got a clue. So it really, and you had to just get on with it. You just had to just do it. You just had to pick up the phone, and sometimes I had to admit, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about the subject, so you're going to have to fill me in with the background. And most people were absolutely fine with that, and they're happy to share. I had some horrendous people, one or two, and I would love, and maybe I'll name drop them in my book one day, but one particular person, she absolutely ripped me to pieces. She's a horrible, obnoxious woman. However, that was the exception. But this forced me to, start learning, and I became like a sponge. I was just learning and learning and learning. That was what I loved about my job, the fact that I could just pick up people and find out about totally random subjects. But what really ramped it up is when I started my personal development work. And I started, because the thing that I did before was that when somebody would tell me something, I would just take it verbatim, and I'd just accept it. I'd go, right, okay, all right, I didn't know that, and just write down the notes, and I would never question it. But personal development gave me the confidence to start understanding myself and start going, like this challenge, going on a self-discovery and thinking, oh, actually, well, there's another way to look at this. It gave me lots of different perspectives, and I started questioning, and I had the confidence to, with the guests that I was engaging with and briefing, to start going, well, hang on a minute. And I started playing devil's advocate more. And that then led on to me becoming quite frustrated with the media, because I would see a certain level reporting, because I mean, there was a number of things that happened. I mean, resources, we became a 24-hour news society, and we just, not just the BBC, every media outlet just does not have the resource. So the same journalism was not going into news reporting or any kind of reporting or media material. And I started getting frustrated with this, because I just kept hearing the same thing sort of being churned out and not being questioned and not being challenged. And that's when I started to realise, actually, I am more powerful outside the BBC doing this kind of work. Because if I empower people, or if I create a platform bringing lots of speakers together and experts to help individuals to develop themselves and become empowered and start thinking for themselves and working out what their core values, working out what they're all about, then the individual starts to think better. They start to then make better choices. When we make better choices, we get better results, and that's when our world starts to change. And that is what Change Your World is all about. And this is how I came to be where I am doing what I'm doing. And this is why I'm so passionate about it, because self-development, personal development can literally change the world. If every single person had a personal development practice, we would change the world. I mean, it would just organically change. And this is why. This is why I do what I do, and this is why I'm so passionate about it. But that was my limiting belief that I had all those years. I mean, for number of years, we're not talking just a couple, 10, 15 years, I had this, that I was not intelligent and smart, and I just felt, I couldn't put any input into conversations about politics or the world affairs and all, whatever, and that's when I decided to do something about it and go, okay, well, I'm going to start learning. And I started absorbing and just becoming a sponge and starting questioning. So personal development, that's the one thing I didn't say, gave me the confidence to actually start questioning people. Because before, like I said, I would just take on what they said, and then personal development gave me that courage to kind of be curious and go, well, hang on, is there another way to look at this? What about this? What about that? And that led to some really interesting conversations, really engaging conversations. And that's why I love my job so much, because I just got to have these fascinating discussions, and I got to learn in the process. So anyway, that is my reflection for today. That was my limiting belief, that I wasn't smart enough. So I would love to know what your limiting beliefs are. So again, the question is, what limiting beliefs are you holding on to? And I'd love you to share your reflections and see what comes up. I'm intrigued with this one. All right. Have a wonderful day, guys. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.